Hello, Professor Zhang. My name is Maryam JafariKarahroudi, and I hope you're doing well. In this presentation, I will analyze Apple's INC's international bond issuance in May 2025. And I will explain what Apple did, why the company chose to borrow from capital markets, and how this financing decision affected Apple's capital structure and cost of capital. And I should mention that all numbers comes directly from Apple's quarter two and quarter four consolidated financial statements, and all market information is taken from Reuters and Invested websites. Now let's go to the case summary. Here is a quick overview of the project. In May 2025, Apple issued 4.48 billion USD in new term debt through global bond markets. The offering consisted of 4 tranches with 3, 5, 7, and 10 years maturities. The main purpose was to repay part of the 10.93 billion in debt maturing in 2025, and to support Apple's ongoing stock buybacks and dividend programs. Market conditions were favorable because investment grade credit spreads were tightening, and which made borrowing cheaper for high quality firms like Apple. I used Apple's financial statements along with CAPM and WACC to measure the impact on financing efficiency. And overall, Apple lowered its WACC to around 6.7%, which increases the firm's value and financial flexibility. Let's go to the next slide and talk about what happened. Yeah, Apple raised 4.48 billion USD through 4 separate bond tranches. As reported by Reuters, investors' demand was very strong, over 10 billion USD in orders, showing that the market had high confidence in Apple's credit worthiness. And Apple also had about 8 billion USD of debt coming due between May and November 2025. Of course, according to Invest, the 10-year portion priced at about a 0.5% spread over US treasuries, which is very low for a corporate issuer. These details show that Apple used the international bond market at a moment when borrowing costs were relatively favorable. And let's go to the next slide and talk about why did Apple borrowed the money from the market. Apple issued new bonds mainly for 3 reasons. First, it needed to manage upcoming debt repayments. The quarter 4 cash flow statement shows that 10.93 billion USD of new issuance supported part of that refinancing. Second, Apple continued its large share repurchase program, and spending more than 90 billion on buybacks in 2025 without reducing its cash reserves. Third, Apple borrowed to strengthen liquidity. Invest reported that the company faced tariff-related uncertainties and broader market volatility. So this was not borrowing out of weakness. It was a strategic financial decision. This table compares Apple's financial position before and after the issuance, and we can see that cash increased by almost 8 billion, which reflects the proceeds from the bond sale. And marketable security decreased, which is normal when a company uses part of its investment portfolio for operations or timing differences. Term debt actually decreased slightly, even though new bonds were issued. This shows that Apple was not leveraging up. Instead, it was refinancing older debt. Shareholders' equity also increased due to retained earnings, and overall, Apple maintained a balanced and healthy capital structure. Let's go to the next slide and talk about cost of capital analysis. Now let's look at the financial impact using the models from our textbook. Using the CAPM formula, Apple's cost of equity is about 10.1%. This comes from the risk-free rate of about 4.2%, a beta of 1.25, and a market premium of 5.5%. The cost of debt is much lower. Invest reports that Apple's bond priced at about 0.5% spread over treasuries, with taxes included. The after-tax cost of debt is around 3.7%. When we combine this using Apple's debt and equity weight, we get a WACC of roughly 6.7%. This lower WACC means Apple can finance its operations at a lower cost, which increases firm's value. About the strategic insight, you can go to this slide. Apple's decision has several strategic benefits. First, since debt is cheaper than equity, using more debt lowers the company's WACC. Second, strong global demand shows that Apple can borrow cheaply at any time, which is a competitive advantage. And third, by refinancing instead of using cash, Apple maintains flexibility and keeps large cash reserves for R&D, supply chain investment, and unexpected risks. And finally, this decision is consistent with Apple's long-term strategy of optimizing its capital structure and creating shareholders' value. And on conclusion slide, in conclusion, Apple's 2025 bond issuance is a strong example of how a multinational company uses a global capital market to improve financing efficiencies. And the company issued 4.48 billion USD of new debt at favorable market conditions, refined existing obligations, and supported its large shareholder return programs. The result was a lower WACC, higher liquidity, and greater financial flexibility. This case clearly shows the connection between international financing decisions and corporate values. And now we know that, I know that it is a key lesson from MBA 680. Also, all data and resources used in this presentation are listed here for academic accuracy. Thank you, Professor, for your time and your attention, and all the best.